Hey everybody, this is Roger Pugh with the DNA Vibrators and with the band Crank. And I'm here with Ralph Wood, Scott Furtwängler, and Dave Stecker. And if we're lucky, Dave's son Anthony might join us at some point this evening. And we're going to talk a little bit about our bands and how we know each other and that long and colorful history, and then talk a little bit about the show we have coming up
Colorful.
on June 29th. That's Thursday, June 29th at PK's in Carbondale. So, uh, so we've been around the Carbondale music scene for a long, long time, and I'm trying to figure out who probably was the first out of our group that were there. And I'm going to guess it's either Dave or Dave and Scott. That would be my guess. So,
I would say David and Scott,
and then
probably.
would that be 1983?
Except that Nice Boys from Good Homes, Scott was not part of that.
No, but
So slight, but at the same time, yes,
so
you were there.
1983, Schneider Hall, Jeff Townsend and I roomed together, and Dave and Steve Davis lived together in Schneider Hall.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of met them there. Actually, Steve let me borrow his amp and pull it down. I didn't. Fortunately, Dave didn't let me use his because his would have blown the fucking windows out. Um, but
Oh
Steve,
shit! Did I have all that PV stuff
yeah,
in my dorm room?
I think so.
I had an Ampeg B410 in my dorm room. So anyway, so that was Schneider Hall, and I think there was another Carbondale Music alum that Dave played with early on in Schneider, and that was Scott Munson. And so Scott,
that's true. And a guy named Jonathan, I don't remember his last name exactly.
That's a strange last name.
That played drums.
So
No,
yeah,
I
got
his
you.
first name was Jonathan.
Yeah. So Scott Munson talked to me about that and said that that he counted Dave as among the first members of IT, even though it was
Which was
just
news to
forming.
me.
And Dave was like, "Really? I don't remember any of that."
To me, many
and
years later.
Ralph, when did you hit the Carbondale scene?
I think 85 would have been 85, 86 would have been the Love Junkies, maybe.
Oh,
we
God.
played
I need some of that.
We played a show with 138.
Who hasn't?
Those, but I remember we did one at Main Street East because
Nice.
I've got
the Battle of the Bands thing.
No, there was
earlier than that.
Yeah, Greg Kessler sent me a show that we did at Main Street East, and I'm sure we played with y'all at that.
Wow, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's all audio, but it's all of
That's
that.
pretty awesome. Yeah. And so I was in Carbondale in 84, and my first musical experience in Carbondale was when Soundcore Music was on the island still. I don't know if you remember that, guys, when it was on the island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's where I got my Rick.
And Eddie, I walked in there with some other guys from my dorm, and I didn't have any of my musical equipment down at the school yet. And so I was just like, hey, and we were just like rubes off the street, and we are just like, hey, we'd like to maybe jam some music. And they were just like, sure, you want to rent some instruments? And I was like, yeah. So they fleeced us for a couple $100, and we sat in Soundcore and played musical instruments together and I don't remember the guys that we were with, but I remember thinking at the time that this cost a lot of money, and I don't know if I want to continue to do that. I later on brought my own stuff, but that was my introduction to Soundcore. And I'm sure Eddie would be like mortified if I heard him thinking that he was trying to fleece us. He wasn't. They were being cool, but that's just how it went. So real quick, I'll go around the room again. I'll start with Scott. Tell me your band pedigree. Like, what was the first band and the most recent bands that you've been in?
It's, you know, it's a telephone pole basically. It's
Sure.
not a tree. It's 138.
Yeah.
Well, in
Rings of conspiracy.
before 138, there was we had a little thing going at Brown House called Local Deities.
Mm,
It was 138.
hell yeah. Shit.
And and then, by way of chance, Roger and Roger, I was thinking about this today or yesterday about how many English classes we were in together. And there was creative writing, um, something else, and at least two classes where it was just you and me and Dick
Lawson.
Lawson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Appleby, Lawson, and gosh darn it, the other fella that
Oh, Blakesley, we had
Blakesley. Yeah.
class together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Roger and I had been, you know, walking and talking about fiction and all
I'm walking.
types of abstract
I'm talking.
stupid shit. And there was a point, you know, right after 138 where I don't know how we even got on the idea. I don't know, Roger, how it even started, but
Not
we were
off the
just
top of my
like,
head.
let's do Minutemen double nickels on the dime full way through for a show. Have a good time.
Unfinished.
Yeah, and that'll be it. That'll be it.
And what other groups have you been in outside of that? Like after, so that led to Crank's formation is what you're telling me. So
Yeah.
138, Crank, what else?
The only other thing I would say is in Houston, I did a solo project called Silver Spring Monkeys.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
was just trying a bunch of other, you know, writing a bunch of other stuff, recording by myself, getting used to the software and everything, and playing out only like a total of 3 times, I think, and getting different drummers and you know, sometimes once a cellist, and yeah, yes,
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
it was cool.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Drummers are expendable. Sorry, Ralph. No offense.
But a cellist, right?
The cellist, that's some shit you don't find on the corner very often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she didn't come back. She did not.
Damn.
I think she was like, Scott is not a conductor like Wilhelm. He's
I
not a
gotcha.
conductor.
So hey, Dave, I'll start with you next.
Either that or she actually had heard us play before somehow. Maybe
That could have been.
So Dave,
anyway,
give me,
yes,
your
yes,
band
yes.
pedigree. Just run through them real
Oh,
quick.
Jesus.
Nice Boys
Well,
from Good Homes. Was that
okay.
your first Carbondale band?
Oh, if we're starting with college, sure.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, Carbondale.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep,
then
yep.
after.
No, well, no, it theoretically
Okay.
as you mentioned something about before, which was just jamming with Scott Munson and a guy named Jonathan,
Sure.
who was playing the drums in the basement of, I think would have been True Blood, you know, dining hall, like in a room down there.
Okay.
That would have, well, actually before that, I came down here like and saw Circle Jerks play at Airwaves when I was not even legal to be in a bar.
Yeah.
So that would be the beginning, and that led to Nice Boys from Good Homes, which
Okay.
was just insane. We just punk rock cover band. We played all kinds of bunch different punk rock band songs.
And very good, mind you. Very good. You
Well, thank
did.
you. Thanks for that. But no, it's just funny because we didn't have a singer. If there was a singer or a main singer in the band, it would have been Matt Schultz probably. Otherwise, it was just random people coming up and taking turns
And I have
singing
to say,
yeah,
I have to
hop
say
in.
the best little gig you guys had going was you started a song and the singer, I remember, it might have been Gene Wheat, just
Yep.
sucked at it, and a voice from the crowd said, "That sucks. That fucking sucks. That sucks. You guys suck." And Gene was like, "Oh, you think you can do better?" And the guy's like, "Yeah," and he goes up. And I think it's Rand, is it Rand? But somebody,
it was probably Rand or Paul, who was like a roommate with Mike Davis.
and he
He was in there on one song for sure.
So
it was
Dave,
a great setup and a
Keep
great
me alive. Only you can do it.
Dave,
Not
after
all but two. Sorry.
that's all right.
Go ahead.
After Nice Boys with Good Homes, what was your next band?
138
And
version
after,
one.
so that was with
Version
Scott.
then after that was with Scott. Yeah.
Shelley,
Yes.
or
Scott. No, before Shelley. That was with Jeff Townsend on
okay.
drums, and Scott and I would be the guitar players, and Doug Williams, Brano,
Nice.
was the bass player.
Awesome.
And we did that, and we actually did even that far back. We did an acoustic set.
Right on.
Nice. After
You remember that, Scott?
oh yeah, oh fuck yeah.
After
Leaving
one-
on a jet plane.
nice.
Jet plane, jet plane. Fucking Doug was so cheesy. Wow.
After 138.
138 version. Well, first version,
Yeah.
second version, third version, and then it turned into, I guess it turned into Crank. Somewhere.
But where did Full Swing fit in there? Where was Full Swing?
Oh well. Oh shit. Thanks for reminding me about that. No, that was an offshoot.
Yeah, that's okay. That doesn't I'm just wondering about your band pedigree. So Full Swing, and then you were also a member of Girls with Tools. You remember the DNA Vibrators, anything else?
A
Well,
named band? I don't really think so.
I Am
was
3.
pretty much.
There we go.
All right. Thanks for the poke in the eye, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Playing the role of Dave's memory will be Roger today. That's awesome. That's great. No, and I have to. I'll circle back to that in a minute, but
I don't know how to describe I Am 3 other than it just was.
There you go.
Whatever it was, we weren't a band. We didn't go out. I don't know if we ever played out at all, honestly.
Well, there's at least a couple recordings.
Yes.
I think the best definition you just gave, Dave, was we weren't a band. That's all you have to
say. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
We weren't a band. We were a thing. We were a thing that was happening. It was Bill Hartley. Oh man, no.
Ralph, tell me your Carbondale band pedigree.
Probably the Love Junkies was the first band that I played in when I got to Carbondale.
Yeah.
And then that kind of morphed into Fusebox.
Oh yeah.
And then after Fusebox,
And Mark was in both of those bands, right?
Mark Jarzymski was in Fusebox. He wasn't in the Love Junkies, but everybody who was in the Love Junkies was in Fusebox. Mark was the additional
The
person.
addition. So Greg was in both bands, and all right,
He was in both bands. Steve Marquis was in both bands.
nice.
And Todd Hartman was in both bands.
That's great. That's great. I haven't heard Todd Hartman sing in a long
Wow.
time. That's
Yeah,
I
great.
would love to hear that stuff again. I
Yeah.
really would.
Yeah.
If it's out there somewhere.
I have the Fusebox stuff digitized and stuff, so
Oh,
I
wow.
can share that with you if you want.
I think I have the fuse box. Well, good luck finding it, but I think I have it.
You know what I also
on a
have
disc, but
is Angie's band, Three Alarm Mustard, with
Yeah.
their
oh yeah,
I have that
Nice.
digitized
yes.
as well. So
That's awesome.
Didn't 138 and Rogers
Yep.
band also play? Didn't we all play a bill together at?
Yes, we did.
Yep.
yeah, Alexander
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a big night.
Well, Roger, what was your
I
band?
think.
Well, I'll get to mine in a minute, but
Okay.
that was probably with the Coolies.
Okay.
And there's actually a show that I've got that I don't know if I've shared with all of you. I think I've played some of it for Dave, where Scott, you and Dave joined us for like our third set, and we did some Soul Asylum and Kiss and a couple of other covers.
Oh my God, I gotta
Yeah.
see it. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
I
it.
will get
You
that to you.
know she's
So,
going
let me
down your way.
let me go back. Ralph, we
Everybody.
had Love Junkies, and then we have Fusebox, and then what was next?
Right. And then I went to grad school, and then I think I played with Mike Nisley in a band called The Unfortunates, maybe for a short period of
Yeah,
time.
I remember that band.
Yes.
No,
Remember the name.
and then I got a drum set, and Roger and Tony were cool enough, and Mike, to let me put it in their basement and come over and play from time to time.
Yeah.
And then I was in Satan's Monster Truck with Rob.
Yeah.
And then Crank. That's kind of that.
Wait,
And
wasn't there a monster truck after Satan?
after,
Yeah.
yeah, Brian was
Satan-
He dropped
uncomfortable.
he just dropped the devil out of the picture. Well, not actually, but
Yeah.
from the name. Drop the name.
And then
Satan.
after that, Ralph, I know that you're currently active. Was there a time where you weren't playing and then you started again?
I mean, I think I moved to Louisiana in 99. By 2000, I was in a band called Finger Cuff
Yeah.
down here.
Which-
And we played.
Great band name, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what it means.
Which
is great.
it's a Chinese kids game, but I think we got it from the movie Chasing Amy. And
Nice.
that's just that's somebody who has multiple talents and can multitask.
Yeah.
So, and that's a strength sometimes.
Yep.
And then I quit playing for a while. Then I played with a group of faculty members,
Impaired faculties.
paired faculties.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then that band kind of
Wow.
died.
Yeah.
And some of us went on to be in a band called Snake Hat, which included Bill from the Impaired Faculties, and then Angie joined us and another faculty member, and that morphed into Mary's Wish, and that's the band that I currently play
That
in.
is awesome. And you have done some recent
Excellent.
recording
Excellent.
at tell me where.
Recorded at Studio in the Country, which is Bogalusa, Louisiana. For some reason, some guy had a rich father, and he was able to talk him into building what would have been a state-of-the-art studio in the middle of fucking nowhere. And then they were able to get, I mean, probably the biggest thing that come out of there is either Kansas recorded Left Overture there, Point of No Return there.
Oh, gee, that's just a minor side note. Not.
Manson recorded there. And so, yeah, but it's in the middle of a pine forest. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that was a good idea, but it's a great old studio.
yeah.
We've got
And
now,
and the stuff you've recorded there is mainly Angie's compositions, is that correct?
yeah. So we
Yeah.
most of it has been Angie songs. We work with the guy by the name of Ben Mumfrey, who works with the Pixies and Kim Deal and Frank
Awesome.
Black and a number of other things, but that's probably
Nice.
just where people know him from. So yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
been pretty awesome.
And then I'll wrap it up. So I was in Carbondale for a couple of years before after being traumatized at Soundcore before I actually started to play in music with people. And the first band I was in, actually we were not in a band, but I didn't have my bass gear down here and Tony didn't have a drum set, but I would literally be like singing bass stuff and he would be playing drums on his legs like drummers will do sometimes. And so that doesn't really count, but that was the first time that we collaborated together. And it was not long after that that we were living together. And he told me that his dad, who was a talented jazz musician who had passed away early on in Tony's life. But he said he still had his dad's drums, and I was like, "Well, you got to bring your drums down. You got to bring those down." And I basically kind of just coerced him into bringing his drums down, and he never really had played the kit. And so I was like, I don't care if you're good or bad. You'll learn it. It's okay. And I got all the gear that I had and brought it down, and it eventually sat in my dorm room for a while. And then when we were living, our first house was on Hayes Street, and I got to
503.
oh, yes, it's 503 South Hayes. And so um immortalized in song. So the we got together and this guy named Matt Schufelt, who was in Carbondale for a while, was in a band, a separate band than what we were in, but he got to talking to me because a drummer by the name of Chris Ferguson was in the band with Matt. And Chris and I were in school together in Stonington. And so I knew Chris. Chris said, "Hey, you ought to get Roger over here to play. He's a good bass player." And so we got together and played. And then Tony happened to be there. And so Tony and me and Matt got to play. And before we knew it, Chris was out of the band. It's just horrible shit.
Hey, it's showbiz, kid.
Chris and I have reconciled wonderfully, and it's all good. But
But no,
but he,
yeah, that's totally a cancel.
it's a
But
horrible thing. But it
way
wasn't.
back before cancel was a thing.
It wasn't. It just kind of happened, right? And we all know how those things can go. Bands are
Hey,
like complex seven-way relationships, and everybody's got shit
things
going on.
things
So
things tend to settle into where they're supposed to be.
I hope. So
Ultimately.
the long and short is we formed a band called The Watch. And we played a party with
Oh shit.
Fusebox out at the
Yeah.
Moat House, which was
Moat House.
legendary. People still talk about the Moat House party. That's the Moat House party they talk about. And that band was short-lived. And the Watch, we played out like 2 times, I think. We may have done a show at 611 also. But ultimately, we kind of split. Me and Tony stayed playing together. And then Brian Vaughn moved next door to us at 503. And literally, me and Tony were playing on the porch. And Brian is in the process of moving in his house and comes over as soon as he can with his guitar in hand. And he was like, "Hey, can I come over and jam with you guys?" And we're just like, "Who are you?" Yeah, sure. But literally that night, the Coolies were born. We were a band at that point. And
That's the classic story. Just
yeah, dudes came together and started to play, and it just worked. And very quickly I mean, Brian had literally a notebook with about 100 songs in it that he had written. And we just started picking and choosing stuff. And he was like, hey, you want to try this? And he would do his thing. And we're like, yep, okay, let's do it. And by the end of the night, we had like 8 tunes, and we could literally have played a show out the next day. So the Night Soil Coolies were born then. And then after the Coolies, um, for a very brief, you guys might remember this, and I have a feeling that each of you may have been involved at one point or another. There was an event up at 611 in which bands switched places with each other, and different members played with different people. So me and Tony played with Steve Marquis, for example, and we had a band called They Came in Buicks, I think was the name of the band that we played out a half a dozen songs. One show. That was all we did.
Yeah.
And everybody
Go on.
switched back and did their things. And
I
I know,
don't
Ralph,
recall that.
you're remembering it. Were you in a group that did that? And
It was with Angie and a guy, I think by the name of Richard Burns, who I worked with at the Center for Comprehensive Services. A woman by the name of Taya.
Yeah, I remember.
And I can't remember the name of the bass player, but he and his brother played around. It might have been Jeff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But everybody played 3 songs. I remember we did like what was the bald-headed woman? The tour.
Sinead
Yeah,
O'Connor.
we did a Sinead O'Connor song, an original, and I think we did Psycho Killer.
We played with our little group. We played Fishbone's Ugly. We played Public Enemy's Sophisticated Bitch.
I remember.
And we played a song by this group called Belphegor, which was this kind of like punk metal band called All That I Wanted. That was our lineup. So They Came in Buicks was an offshoot that I did. And then after the Coolies, we formed, and that's where you and I kind of got together and formed Satan's Monster Truck, which turned into Monster Truck. That also had Brian Vaughn and Eric Fisher in it. And then after that,
don't forget Fish.
This is where the 4 of us get together, and that's in a band called Crank, where we all had Scott and I had talked about doing double nickels on the dime. And I know that was Scott. I know that was your idea, because I will confess something to you. Until that we had actually talked about it that day, I had not listened to double nickels on a dime from maybe I heard one song off of it. So
and the fact that you agreed to it, brother, I love it.
I was like, shit, we'll do it. And then little did I know, holy cow, Mike Watt's pretty fucking great. So anyway, the long and short is that's when we decided to do that. And I also remember very quickly we started to do a couple tunes, and we're just like, man, it would be way easier just to play our own stuff. We should probably do that.
Yes, that's what happened.
Yes.
And we both had songs that we had written. Just fucking do it. And it was like, Dave should be in on this. And
yes, I remember that too. That was awesome.
Well, the songs on all the songs on that record, as magnificent as it is, they're all really short, quick.
Yeah.
Over.
It's a lot of stuff to
yes, we need
on.
to draw each song out to 8 minutes.
Which is what we did. Yeah.
God, no.
So
well, we probably did.
So the thing of it is, that was in like the summer of that was Monster Truck was starting in like 91, 92. And at the time that Monster Truck started, that's when DNA started as a band too. But we actually didn't play or record until like 94. But I started recording material for it because it was stuff that just wasn't fitting in other bands that I was in, starting in 1991. Like the first song that I wrote was called God Made Us Funky, and that was written on as I was walking
God Made Us Skunky.
I was walking on my on my way
walking on your monkey. What?
Well, there were multiple takes, I guess, that we could have went with. But yeah, I started writing that at that point, but it was just a few years before a vehicle for that kind of fit. And Ralph is a member of that band because you played on the version of God Made Us Funky that we actually released. And Jeff Townsend is a member of that band because he hit an anvil with a hammer for me on one tune, and Brian Vaughn played a guitar solo on one song. So there's a bunch of honorary members, and then there's been other members that have come in and gone. Had a Mac
Oh yeah,
computer that's been part of the band, and
Brian definitely put down the skunk track on
yeah.
wherever
And
it belongs.
Scott, I don't think that you have appeared on any of the recordings, but let's change that on the 29th. All right.
Yeah, get your agent in touch with my agent.
I
and
will.
But
We'll see if we can work out some kind of an arrangement and licensing
yeah,
and merchandising and all that shit that goes along with it. All right. And then after Crank and DNA, then I did kind of quit for a while. You know, I was finished with school and moved to Paducah, and then I ended up coming back to the Carbondale area, and but I started playing with some guys in Metropolis, and I was in a cover band called the Crestview Kings, and that was fun. And then I was in a cover band called Rooted in Soil, which I still am in, and one of the principal players in that band is Mark Donham, and Mark was actually active in the Carbondale music scene when we were there. We just didn't cross paths with him. He was primarily doing, well, it's some important shit. He was primarily doing like work to help save the Shawnee Forest back in the early 90s. He was one of the principal negotiators with the federal government to get logging stopped in the Shawnee at that time. So he had maybe more important things to do than hang out at 611. But he's a terrific songwriter and human being and musician, and I've had a chance to play with him. And turns out we know lots of the same people from that time and that era, which has been pretty cool. And then another member of that band, Dylan Carver, has also been in the DNA Vibrators. He was kind of instrumental in being the drummer for the Lost Cross show that we did and some other shows that we did. The first shows at the Hangar, which was really awesome.
Yep.
And then we were able to also
Good dude.
be lucky enough to have Dave's son, Anthony Stecker, be able to play drums for us, and that's been pretty awesome. I have to tell you that probably a highlight of my time as a musician has been the first time that we were playing out live and Dave and Anthony were playing together. It was awesome, dudes. I'm just telling you, it was, without getting too sappy, it was a tearful moment. It was really pretty cool. And then
Yep.
so anyway, so I think I may be missing. I was in IM3 with Dave briefly. Again, not a band, but we got together and played with at Bill's celebration of life after it passed.
Oh yes,
And
that was great. That
and
was
and
great.
and again, I didn't know it at the time because Dave didn't know it at the time, but I played with it for about a year, and the recording that was produced from that's been awesome. I don't know if very many people have heard it, but it was great. And then later realized that we had crossed paths with Scott Munson there too. So
I knew you played with it.
yeah, it was kind of concurrent with Crank. We were doing some extra stuff there. All right, so well, that didn't take long at all. It's 2.5 hours after we've started, and we just got through our band tree. That's all. Ugh. All right, so everybody, if anybody is still listening to this, there will be a quiz later. So what I'd like to do now.
Oh, that'll suck.
Yeah, well, that's what we give you. I'd like, yeah. Craig Wilson would be like, "Oh, I already had all this information down, guys. I've already got this plotted out." He'll tell us who we missed, which one of our bands we missed amongst ourselves.
That sounds about right.
And that's going to be an awesome book when he finally puts it out. He's in the final processes of finishing that. He's been doing a lot of research. What I'd like to do is I'm just going to start. I keep starting just on my screen here. I'm going clockwise. So Scott, I want to ask you, we're going to get together here shortly on June 29th. We're going to play a show at PK's. It's going to be Crank and the DNA Vibrators playing. And you were kind of instrumental in making this happen. So I just want to ask you, what were you thinking? What the hell was your problem? Like what
What's wrong with you,
yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
So no,
What's wrong with me? None of
you
your
know,
goddamn business.
so Roger, I mean, the show itself was not part of the whole scheme. That's due to you and your work, and we appreciate it. No, the whole premise, the whole prompt was, you know, I've been writing songs, you've been writing songs, you and Dave been playing, Ralph's playing. Uh, when the fuck are we gonna play together again? That was the that was the whole impetus. It's like,
Yeah.
and can we get together? And I put this out to all of you. I said, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Are we getting together to work on some new shit? Are we just going to get together to jam on old shit? And in the end, I really like the answer that you all gave. It was like, hey, in the end, if we just jam together for a week, it's fucking awesome. And I really like that answer. And then,
Yep.
and then Roger said, oh, I got us a show. And that kind of changes everything. Because now it's like, okay, now we gotta remember our old shit.
Do do dad no do do dad
We
do
we,
do dad
we gotta think about new shit, what new originals we're gonna do, and we have to like go over some covers, new covers. So I was not thinking, to answer your question, that was you, Roger. And I'm putting it on you. And I love it
Damn.
that you got it, that you got this show, because I think we're going to kick its ass. And I'm sorry DNA has to follow us. That's all I'm going to say.
I was thinking we'd
What?
open for you, so that's just you know, we can go either way. We'll have to discuss that. As long as we have green M&Ms in the green room, we'll be fine. I don't care when we play after that. I do remember it slightly differently, but very similar to what you're describing for sure. But that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think we all had that idea once we started to talk about it. It's like, well, what do we want to do? And I honestly, I thought Ralph had just a terrific outlook on it. It's like you said, let's just get together and let's have fun. But we could, whatever else can happen, if it happens, great. And I think we all discussed the idea of, well, maybe we could play somewhere. And we, at first, it was not so grandiose. It was just like, maybe we could just, play out at the place that we're going to be, that at the Airbnb where we're going to be at, or we might record something out there, which I think we're probably going to do too. Or maybe we could, go to somebody's front porch, sit at Craig and Roberta's or something like that. And all that was cool. And it's like, well, I could see if we could get a show. Let's do it. So everybody seemed amenable. So here we are. And honestly, it was awesome that the folks up at PK's were down for that. And it's not on a typical night that they have shows, and they were down for that. So it's all good. So however it's going to go is however it's going to go.
And I just want to say to you motherfuckers, if it were any three other guys or bandmates, I would be very like, I don't know about this. But with you guys, I'm like, okay, I can slack off. They're gonna carry me through this shit.
That's a great formula for us to carry the lead singer. We'll do our harmonies. We got you, man. We're good. It'll be awesome. We're looking forward to hearing a screwdriver on a guitar. That's for damn sure. So
not mine. Just not mine.
Yeah, that's how things have changed, right? It's like,
Yeah.
let me put screwdriver in there, but not my shit.
Yeah. So thank you, Scott, for setting the record straight there, and I hope everybody is excited about coming and seeing us. I know that we already have people that are talking about, like Matt from Chicago is talking about coming down. People are talking
Matt
about
Schultz?
coming down. No, Matt
Sobchak.
Sobchak.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
other folks are talking about making sure to be here, and it's like, well, damn, that's kind of
Yeah.
that means we got to not suck, and that's a lot of pressure. So. Ralph, I want to get to it for those people that haven't
Under pressure.
That weren't around during the 1990s to see Crank in Carbondale. If you had to pick a song for them to listen to here in the next couple of minutes, what would it be?
Ooh. Wow.
Ralph
Say
gets the first pick.
I'll get
Yeah.
the first pick. I'm going with Fail to See.
Oh,
Yes.
shiznit. Okay.
Yes.
All right, we're going to try this. All right. So I'm going to share the screen here and just verify with me, guys. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Mm.
I gotta
Alright.
check my
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, if you want to you know,
Got
check
a thumbnail of Scott's head, or was
check
and,
your if you want to check your chicken, Scott, go ahead, and I'm going to play
choke.
Fail to See.
choke, not check.
And what I would ask for us is to let it play and keep our talking to a minimum until the song is over. So 11
Let it
minutes from now.
play. Let it play.
Dave,
Let it
here we
play.
go.
Man, I gotta turn this way up. Signal's low. Low. The floor. Yeah, comes
Dave,
yes.
stop.
What?
Stop
Stop what?
singing.
I'm not singing. Nah. I have no idea what time it is.
Oh, okay, damn. Hey, we didn't suck.
That was pretty fucking good.
That song is sick.
Are we gonna play that on the 29th?
I've
I would love to.
I'm
I
working on
might
it.
have to. I might have to work on it a little bit, but
I'm
no,
not-
I don't.
I think that's one my voice can handle.
All right. I sit down to map it all out. So when I'm playing to it, like, so I can remember just a couple things. And once I had it all mapped out and I looked at it, I was like, I don't think that this is helpful. Because I looked at it and I was like, I told the he's like, come over and look at this shit. It's like, I was like, the third verse, it's the same as the first two, except the fourth line.
We dropped the last bit.
We dropped 2 beats. So it's
Why?
only- and she was like, why did you guys do that? I said, I think because we could. Yeah, I think I shared
it
with
was
you
what was necessary. That's
But-
what I think.
Yes, it's
But
what
no-
it called for. It's what the song called for.
that's exactly what it needed. I think that my notation for the end of it was like, okay, sick shit in 6, followed by sicker shit in 6, and then the sickest shit in 6, and then action.
Yes, that totally makes sense to me. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a
No,
it's
it could not possibly get simpler towards the end than it was already complicated before then. It
You-
just have to follow it all the way to
I mean, we
the
did a lot-
most complicated shit ever.
we did a lot of great stuff, but fail to see is just I mean, the best thing about that song is that fucking song grooves, and it grooves
Yep.
at all kinds of
Yes.
weird time signatures. And unless you're
Yes.
counting the average listener, unless you're counting that shit, you would never know 7 going between 7, 5, and 6. You would just be like, that fucking song is like Godzilla stomping a fucking town.
yeah,
It
yeah.
really is,
Yes, yes,
really is,
exactly.
So I have
Da,
a
da, 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 da,
I have a follow-up to that, Ralph. So, you know, we imposed these time signatures on you.
Sorry, terribly sorry.
Had not been,
As Bill Hartley would say, I'm terribly sorry.
and so 2 questions. One is, what level of frustration did you feel from that? And 2, did you wish you
Shit.
never learned it, or are you glad?
you know what? I mean, there were times because I can remember going like, can't we just do this in 4? Can't we just do this in 8? Does it need to be? But I will tell you, it's that every band that's followed that I've played in, you know, what we did as a band and what the musicians I was able to work with made me a much better musician for everything else I've done after Crank. And you know, I've played with some good people, and but there's nothing that's had the power and the precision and just the flat out fucking shit up that on our best nights that we could do. You know,
Yeah, that's awesome.
like that's its own thing. But I mean,
Right on.
the first time I had to play with the click track, because we record everything now with the click track, they were like, you play with the click track pretty well. And I was like, I had time drilled into my head in a previous band.
In a
Sorry.
in a garage in a storage facility
Yeah, no shit.
every day.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
if you listen to Fail to See, it does. I mean, I'm sure the time always wavers a little bit, but that song's recorded without a click track, and that's just how fucking tight we were.
Yeah.
That we're
Yes.
7, 5, and 6, and it's like, because it was all on 2-inch tape. We had the good fortune or misfortune to do most of our recording before all of the digital programs came along. So it would have been really, really fucking difficult to go back and take at the time that we were doing anything and do the editing that you can do now.
Yeah.
In songs. And so when you listen to those songs, whether the Soundcore songs or Noise New Jersey or the stuff we did with Richard at Blue Earth, that's a pretty amazing feat to have been able to do.
Yeah.
With very little
Good times.
very little editing. I don't believe we cut tape on any of our recordings.
No.
And getting my ass beat.
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm sure the worst part for you was that the worst part for me was the look that Roger's dad gave us when he asked. He said, "So this guy grabbed Scott." We're like, "Yeah," and you all three are there, yeah, and he does that to him, and I can't remember. It was like, you guys didn't get beat up too, or something. It was just this.
Oh no, he asked straight up, and you didn't beat his ass.
Yeah.
You guys didn't stomp a mud hole in this guy's ass. We were like,
And you're just like,
Oh,
we're in a hard rock band though, right? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that was
Now that was the memory I have of that was the dude's fist going by my face and missing my nose and hitting Ralph. Ralph go, oh yeah, I have that memory too, but from a slightly different perspective. I do remember that, yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, you know what? I know it's crazy that you bring that up, Scott, because I know that changed us. That moment, it's not like it changed us, like we don't have faith in humanity anymore or bullshit like that. But it absolutely made us think, what are we doing and why are we doing it? And are we ever going to be caught in a situation like that again, where we're literally doing analysis paralysis? Surely this guy is not mad at us. I mean, I remember that was the interior monologue that was going on as he was literally kicking different Scott Munson in the ribs. We're like going, why would he be doing this? He knows, he has to know we didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, that was a real moment that honestly brought us together and made us different afterwards. That was something else.
I don't think too many other bands have experienced that, with the exception, I think there's a recording on King Crimson's Discipline where Adrian Belew for the vocals.
It's a dangerous place.
Yeah, I think he went out and got in a little scuffle and recorded it. But other than that, I don't know any band who's ever got beat up in their fucking studio by some drunk motherfucker. That Craig Scott Thomas, man, that name is etched in my mind for eternity.
Yeah.
I can remember we would plan, like, what would he do if he showed up to a gig? Like right after.
Yeah. I saw him on campus and I'm like,
yeah,
fuck this dude.
Yeah. Hey Dave, I want to have you pick the next song, but I'm gonna have you pick a DNA Vibrators song. So we just heard a song from Crank, Fail to See, recorded at Blue Earth Studio by Richard Banks. Clearly one of and I'm not just saying this because I was in the band, but of the recordings that have been produced from Carbondale musicians, this was one of the cleanest, tightest, best sounding recordings that have come out of that town. And everything on that album is like that. And so if you haven't heard it, folks, look it up. We're on Reverb Nation. We're around the net, and you'll see other songs there too. So Dave, you're in both
wow.
bands. So pick a DNA song that you would want the listeners to hear.
Damn. Okay, that's a little tough. I mean, there's some obvious ones would be like God Made Us Funky, but that's like so flagship. I think I want to dig a little farther down. So let's say Get Up Off Your Ass.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that.
And I actually don't even play on whatever the recording you're gonna play.
So
that's okay.
So in other words, this is great. So I've done this a couple of times now with other bands that DNA has played with, and every time I've done this, I've literally picked a song where for most of the time that I'm talking with the other guys in the other bands, I'm talking about how, yeah, Dave Stecker is a guitar assassin. He's is awesome. He's so good. And then I'll pick a song and Dave isn't on it, or he doesn't play a solo on it or some shit. And only afterwards it was like, oh yeah, and Dave, he's featured on most of the other songs, so you should listen for those. So here's a song that Dave does not play on. It features my mediocre guitar skills. So anyway, there we go.
That was in your cubicle, your office cubicle. You did all of it, right?
Yes,
pretty much.
Everything here was recorded on a Mac. Yep. All right, so this is a song called "Get Up Off Your Ass."
Black guitar. The black guitar was in there somewhere, but anyway, yeah.
And
all right, go.
We will go. And again, guys, let's keep our own. I'm gonna not talk or sing or whatever. I think I was guilty of that last time, so I'm not gonna do that. Sharing my screen. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Well, here we go. This is called "Get Up." I know it was just here. Get up off your ass.
Get up off your ass. Get up off your ass.
Okay, so we'll do the fade out live. So that was for better or worse, everybody who heard that, that was literally the first time I had picked up a slide for a slide guitar. That
I
recording
was going
was
to ask, what did you use?
I used an actual metal slide. I have a couple of them. I just had them lying about and I brought them into my office that day and used one. So that
So
was it.
did you put it on your third finger? Did you put,
Yeah, third finger so I could fret chords if I needed to for other
okay.
stuff. But
I'm
yeah.
always curious because there's so many different ways that people do it, and
Yeah. Yeah, so that's actually a song that it's on our list for the 29th, but it's like if we have time, we'll get to it. If we don't, well, I don't know. We'll make people stay late, I guess. So anyhow, hey Dave, thanks for picking that. That was a fun one, and that goes way back
I
to some of
love
the
that.
it's
I
goes
love it.
back to some of the first songs that I wrote in the DNA Vibrator. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's keep this ping pong game going.
Cool.
Scott, if you had a Crank song that you wanted to pick that people could listen to, it's the only Crank song they've ever heard before. This is the one. What would it be?
actually, it's Prepare to Be Entertained, and part of it is because of the way we all work together. My little guitar thing in there. I remember. I think it was. I don't know. It was Chris, who was writer for the not the Carbondale Times, but Chris.
Wisman.
Yeah, Wisman. Wisman. He attributed it to Dave.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
And that was like big praise for me. It's like, oh fuck, they think that was Stecker. Now Stecker's reputation is ruined.
I also remember a conversation later with Greg Goodhart, and maybe it was part of that same interview or that same story about it when the record was released, and Greg was talking about the um, the 3-step solo that Dave did. And I was like, no, that was Scott, dude. That was awesome. Yeah. So Prepare to Be Entertained is your choice.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna share the screen
And I
again.
think we should open with that, actually.
Well, okay, we can do that. All right, everybody can see the screen. We're going to play Prepare to Be Entertained off of Crank's album, Garlic, which can still be found from time to time in used record shops.
Reaching the end of my 15 minutes of fame. Stay tuned to CNN and you'll remember my name. I'm all fed up, heads are gonna roll. If I had a heart, it's dead and turned to cold. Prepare to be entertained. Outlines of bodies like connect the dots. Bring order out of chaos in bloody parking lots. In post office lobbies at McDonald's land. Out on the freeway on the last true can't take with me. I'll make sure can't be saved. So take your holy books, your notions about my soul. Reading nooks, demystified black holes. Prepare to be entertained.
Well, all right.
Fuck yeah,
Hey.
man. Fuck
That
yeah.
didn't suck.
No.
And
Could
you
we
know,
get-
one of the things I love about that song, Roger, were your the harmonies you did. I think the song kicks ass anyway, but the harmonies you did brought it to another level, and it just fucking kicked ass.
Dude, it was just the moment when we were there. I remember doing it. Literally, it was one take. When I was sitting in that big room in Richard's studio, and he was like, "You want to do the vocals?" I was like, "Yep, let's do it." And so just boom, 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 and you could hear it so clearly. It was easy to harmonize. I was going to say the one thing that song highlights is what happens when you take somebody who purposely makes their Midwestern nasal twang twice as noticeable as before. That's how you do it right there. So that's awesome. Well, I think everybody will have had a choice once I get to pick one here from DNA. And I
Nope.
expect that song, Prepare to be Entertained, it's going to be played by one band or the other, because if Crank doesn't decide to play it, DNA is going to play it. So that's just, we're covered either
Well,
way.
I am down with that. Absolutely.
Play it twice.
100%.
We
Yeah.
we should play it. We should play it like 11 times and just be like, "This is the song we're playing."
No, we should play it as our last DNA's last song, or Crank's last song, and then DNA's first song, or however that works out. We're sorry if you didn't get it the first time. We're gonna give it to you. Give it back to you again.
We really want you to prepare
to
to be entertained.
Yes.
That's the focus here.
Hell
Well,
yes.
Of the tunes that I could choose, I do want to choose. I'm going to choose another one that Dave doesn't play a solo on.
Oh, thank God! Thank
but-
God!
But this is one of the tunes that his son recorded and mixed down for us. So this is off of, it's not really a release, it's just the most recent stuff that was recorded. And it's been one of those, it's been very heartening to see when we've played out, because obviously that's one of the first compositions that Dave, Anthony, and I wrote.
Oh, Crack
together.
the Sky.
No, this is Countdown we're gonna do. So
Oh well, yeah, it's same. It's same effect.
so we've got the screen up right here. And all right, here we go. This is Countdown by the DNA Vibrators.
Not duh.
They put a lot of pressure on my back, but so did I, I'm not gonna lie. And most of the time I'm feeling fine, but sometimes I feel like I'm gonna crack, like it's only a matter of time before the plates I have spinning around come crashing down to the ground. Let's start the countdown. All systems go. Will I lift off or explode? Let's start the countdown. 10. I'm feeling trapped. 9. I can't escape. 8. And I lash out. 7. Drive you away. 6. Make you think. 5. I don't care. 4. Because it's better. 3. Than despair, but 2. Maybe you and me can make it through. And then
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's a great song, Roger. I think
Uh,
first time you shared that with us, I was like, the songwriting on that, both music and lyrics, that's just fucking on fire, man. That's
It-
really good.
that's cool. Yeah, it
I
was super fun to play. And I remember, you know how some songs, guys, I know you all have your experiences like this. Like for me, that song, if I were it was reminiscent of the feeling that I had, say, playing Victim No Longer. And I know, Ralph, that's a tune that you penned and Scott pretty much wrote. And
great,
then we
great
collaborated
song.
on and put together. Um, it just has it. It's the right stuff. And every time we played it out, man, people are just immediately just kind of bopping their head and just kind of with us on it. And when they realize that I'm actually going to do a countdown in a song called Countdown with the word countdown in it like 6 times, they count down with us, man. It's been great.
It's a
That's been
fucking
cool.
excellent, excellent song, Roger. That was
Yeah.
one of the best things of many that you've that one just popped out like
Yeah,
baked.
it was fully
Fully
formed.
baked.
It's like, there you go, we're done. So
And
yeah, go ahead.
Fucking great.
I
That's
was
all
gonna
I-
say, and Anthony's drumming. Fuck, man.
Yeah, he's on
Oh,
point. He is on
that was,
point.
Yeah, I kind of want to punch him in the face sometimes, but
fuck, man.
yeah, well, yeah, he's still a young man
I
doing
think
young
I
man
saw
things.
you in the movie Whiplash, Dave.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that wow, I don't even want to get into that. That's just J.K. Simmons fucking hell.
well, gentlemen, I've and I hope anybody that's maybe stuck around or popped back in and out while we were doing our thing here has heard some of our music, and I hope that they'll be excited to join us at PK's. We will have T-shirts. We will have
Cheap
CDs.
PBRs.
We will
Cheap
have
PBR.
stickers and all kinds of stuff available for sale and to help remember your awesome evening that you're going to spend with us at PK's. So that's June 29th. Yes, Scott?
I think we should do this at least one more time because there's some questions I have of all of you.
Well, we can still talk.
Well,
What?
it's 11 or it's 10:30 where I am.
Yeah, we're definitely pushing old people time. So
Yeah,
I get you.
yes, you are.
I'm
Wait,
feeling it too.
isn't that like
So,
8, like
so
8:30
can
or
we make
something?
can we make this the part one and do a part two, or because I want to
Sure.
ask
Why
questions of
not?
each of you about songwriting and performance and this and that and certain songs we've worked on. There's a lot of questions I think need to be answered.
Let's do that because all we really got through today was an extended band tree and then playing a couple songs. So I would love to do that again, and I'll hand off moderation duties to you, and that way you can start leading with some questions, and then and pick some more songs that we would want to hear and subject listeners to. So
Yeah, I ain't
everybody,
going. I
go
ain't
ahead.
going anywhere.
All right. So everybody,
I'll be
we're
here.
going to wrap this up June 29th. I believe 10 o'clock is when the show is supposed to start at PK's in Carbondale. Crank and the DNA Vibrators. That's us and a couple of extras that are going to be here that aren't here tonight. So so there you go. And gentlemen, I'll see you guys. Stay on after I shut record off. But I'll see you guys, I guess, in a week or so. Scott, we'll get back together whenever you want to set up a time. Let's do it again. Okay. All right. So for those who are watching, we're just going to say goodbye, everybody. See you later from Crank
Good
and
night.
DNA.
Good night, y'all that
Night.
aren't gonna
Good
stay on the
night. Good
call.
night.